Okay, we're watching more of the Delial vs. Reay finals in Chat Tournament 37 or Weekly Open 37. Um, this was the game they just played, and I just wanted to talk about it briefly. I missed most of it, but the move order was pretty fun. 1-5-3-8, where Deli had combos in both 4 and 6 and wanted to leave them both open. Reay ended up finding a nice way in 2 to clarify the position, but really interesting move order. So let's take a peek at the next game because I think they're playing again. Hopefully we won't have missed anything. All right. Per usual, let's start with just thinking about directional advantages. Reay has a 7 down and a 7 to the right. Reay is to start, so let's look at his. Let's look at Deli's first. Deli has 7s in every direction. Every direction. The 4-7-4-4 really guarantees captures, so generally strongest to the right, but this is pretty strong in all directions. Reay has a 7 down and a 7 to the right. The 7 to the right, the 7-5-2-5 might be a problem. The 7 down, depending on what row it's in, might have a problem with the 5-5-2-7, or if it's on the left, could have a problem with the 6-6-4-3. So it's going to be pretty hard for Reay to build out very safely on this. And so a type of starter he might like say 5-3-7-3 and 2, intending 3-6-6-4 and 1 or 3, it might be able to go in 1 because 7-5-2-5 in 4, the only capture, Reay has a combo back in 5 with 3-7-3-5, but it can't really go in 3 so happily. And so that kind of, the defensive side type build doesn't make much sense, and neither does an aggressive side build, because you really have to have them beaten in a direction, right? If you have a 7 down and they have nothing that can fight that, you can often just play a card in 8, saying you don't have 7 or 9. But Deli has more directional power and a more synergistic hand with the 7-5-5s. So I think you really do want to be looking for what is a corner that I can handle at least a bit, and Deli maybe can't handle as well. The strongest corner is 3-6-6-4 and 1, but this is not a very appealing option. 5-5-7-1 has it so well covered you don't have 3 captures. How do you want to direct the game? Well, I think you're a bit better going to the right than to the left. That's pretty clear. Your 6-5-5-2 might be able to sweep things on that left row. Probably can't because Deli has a 6 up that the 5-2 part can't take, has a 7 down that the 6-2 part. This is a tough hand for Reay. This is difficult. I think the 3-6-6-4 is your best card and your best potential sweeper. So I'm tempted to say start the game down right. Now, which card to put there? I think there's a case for most of them. I think 3-6-6-4 and 6-5-5-2 have the best chance to be late game sweepers. And I think 4-5-5-6 is just a little uncomfortable for your own hand to work around. So I'd probably do one of the 7-3-5-3 types in 9. That seems like the way to go. Also, pointing out that Deli's hand is not great going down. Maybe you play 5-3-7-3 and 9, and you say, okay, you do have a capture in 6, but you only have the 1 capture. And I don't have necessarily play against that, but maybe I can construct some play there. You know, maybe I'm threatening to go 8 with... I'm not, but yeah. There's not a good way to set up a threaten 5 against 5-5-7-1 and 6, but okay. It's pretty easy to capture at least from 5. And, you know, if you play in 9 and Deli at some point is forced to go in 6 and you take that from 5, Deli can't recapture 6 back. Like, you definitely do want the game to be going downwards. If you're Reay, you're pretty comfortable going down, and Deli is not that happy going down. Now, if you're directing the game downwards and you're thinking, okay, so we want to start in 7, 8, or 9, is 8 a good choice for that? And I think it can be, but it's often delayed, right? Because if you go 8, you kind of give Deli a free move to go in 7 or 9 using a card with a lot of up power and using that card very effectively, probably in 9. Because 7 you do have a little covered with 6-5-5-2. So probably in 9, but that kind of gives a free move to Deli. Maybe you still are good, right? Maybe you can start like, I don't know, 5-3-7-3 and 8, Deli goes 9, you play 6-5-5-2 and 7, and he does have a safe card, and you have 2 vulnerable cards, but once he uses 5-5-7-1, it's hard for him to have a next threat. Maybe there could be some plan that way. But I do like starting in 7 or 9 here. I think that is the clearer way to make it a downward-facing game, and I like the concept of having at least a 4 facing up. You know, not playing 3-7-3-5 there, not because that's the most valuable card to hold on to, but just because it is, you know, Deli has 2 4s facing down. It gives him so many more options. Now, yeah, this looks interesting. I think one thing to worry about is what if 5-5-7-1 and 6 immediately? That's a big concession. It uses up all down power, but it has a very clear point as well, which is if 3-7-3-5 and 8, you've only given yourself 1 recapture in 8. This was a reason I was a little tentative of putting out something kind of so chunky, so blocky facing out. A 6 and a 4 are kind of just a little bit difficult numbers, and that creates a problem for Deli, but it might create a problem for us too. And the line I'm seeing is 5-5-7-1 and 6, 3-7-3-5 and 8. There is 6-6-4-3 in 5 comboing. And that feels like it's difficult for us. It feels like our 3-6-6-4 is probably needed in too many squares. And maybe you're fine there after something like 5-3-7-3 and 3. No, that gives up the combo to 7-5-2-5 and 2. And maybe even if it didn't combo 7-5-2-5 and 2 would be a chunky enough card, we wouldn't be in good shape. So I think 5-5-7-1 and 6 could be a problem. Now, quite often there you can just stick something in 3. It doesn't even need to be flipping 6 because 6 is so vulnerable to 5. So maybe against 5-5-7-1 and 6 you play 3-7-3-5 and 3 when the critical line is probably 4-7-4-4 and 5. And then maybe you just play 6-5-5-2 and 5 or something. 4-7-4-4 and 2. And maybe there you have 6-5-5-2 and 5. You don't really have 5-3-7-3. That gets comboed by 5-5-2-7 and you don't have a combo back. You don't really want to use 3-6-6-4 there. Oh, that has the plus though. So you do cover it with 3-6-6-4. But that walks into big combo in 8. That again, you don't have the combo back. So that all seems pretty risky. Like 5-5-7-1 and 6, like it has a major cost for Deli. He really gives up down power. But it really has a clear upside. It's hard to find a clean plan for Reay there. 6-5-5-2 and 2 is an interesting reply, setting up a big threat in 5. That's something to, you know, if you're actually playing this game, which I'm not, so I get to be lazy, is you definitely have to check. But 6 seems really possible. On the other hand, there's lots of other moves. 6-6-4-3 in 7 is almost safe. But not quite. I guess the 5-3-7-3 is really good play against that. You don't want to concede such good play against one card, especially if you're on second turn. Far corner seems really good. You know, 5-5-7-1 and 1. Again, this does a powerful thing, but uses up the best card in your hand. So I guess the question is, should Deli do something? Should he cash out on the 5-5-7-1, right? It can do something pretty powerful in 6. It can do something pretty powerful in 1. Or do you try to find some way to make another card useful? And I think Reay has done a good job of keeping 3-6-6-4 and 6-5-5-2, which makes it hard for Deli to have good adjacent corners. You know, anything like 5-5-2-7 and 3, trying to set up an adjacent corner play while making something tough to take, but that's pretty easy for Reay to take. So is 7-5-5-2 and 7, so is 6-6-4-3 and 7. So I don't love the adjacent corner plays. I haven't looked at 5 at all, but 5 tends not to be where I like to be. So I think there's a big question. Can you find something useful to do that doesn't use the 5-5-7-1? I think it is fine to use the 5-5-7-1. I'm not saying the goal is to not use it, but that's clearly a card that's going to have tremendous play at some point or other this game, right? And is it used optimally at this moment? I don't really know. There's also, you could just put something kind of weaker in 1, right? Like, there's a whole bunch of stuff that's just difficult for Reay to take if it ever lands in 1. Like, maybe just 6-6-4-3 and 1. Just something like that. And just say, what you got? Now, I think the answer there is Reay probably does have 3-7, 3-5, and 5 with huge setups everywhere. 6-5-5-2 becomes a super bomb. It gets 2, 4, and 6 after that. So, okay, that's probably not the card you want to put there. But you could just put something else in 1, right? Ray's hand is poorly attuned to meet certain things in 1. So he's picked up 5-5-2-7. Not a card I seriously considered playing here. I don't think you want to go in somewhere like 7. I think that directs the game too downwards. You know, your 5-5-7-1 can only be used so many times. He uses 7-5-2-5. But presumably 5-5-2-7, the idea was the same square. So he does play a different card in 1. He says, we're going to direct the game towards 1 where you are weakest, and we're going to keep 5-5-7-1 in my hand. Now, notably, if we look at Ray's captures in 4, 2 of them are comboed back really hard. So he has somewhat limited captures from there, and he has no captures at all from 2. And one reason Delial may have kept on the 5-5-2-7 is to have cards that could combo a 7 facing down, though 6-6-4-3 can also perform that duty. Having 2 cards that can do it often frees up your remaining moves, while having 1 card that can do it sometimes locks you into holding on to stuff. Redundancy is not as bad a thing as it is sometimes made out to be. Okay. So you're Reay here. And my first instinct would be go in 8. Because if you kind of put anything at all in 8, we won't figure out the exact card to put in 8 at the moment. We put a vague card into 8. If it draws out 5-5-7-1 in 6, then maybe you can just go 7. And just have, say, 7 and 8 are safe, and you have a bunch of vulnerable cards on board. You're going to still want to have 3-6-6-4 in your hand if that's the case. That shouldn't be your card for 7 or 8. But I think if you've kept that in your hand, you probably have enough to tie there. It's not quite perfectly directed, with the remaining squares being 2, 3, 4, and 5, but I think it should be enough. You want at least a 4 facing up from 8. So you're probably looking at something like 6-5-5-2 and 8. It's probably the kind of move you're looking at. And if... but you don't actually have a perfect card to put in 7, because you kind of need that card for 7, because a 5 facing up can be comboed in 4. So, okay. So say you start with 5-3-7-3, but then you don't have near as good coverage of 7 yourself. Maybe Delial occupies 7. Okay, so you don't really have the kind of card you want to put in 8. And forcing the action in 6 doesn't seem that great either. Could you just take? Could you take in 4? It's risky. You don't want to play something that can get comboed back, so I'm thinking 3-7-3-5 or 6-5-5-2. Let's say you go 6-5-5-2. That card can only be taken in 7 by a card you can combo back. 5373 has the combo there. They do have 4744 in 5 at the end. And that's okay, that's probably a problem. That's probably a problem. I see some ideas, but that is probably a problem. But okay, 6552 and 4. If they recapture in 2, then my idea was to play something like 3, 7, 3, 5, and 7 and say I have 4 and 7 safe, and my remaining cards hopefully do enough. Oh, I forgot that there could be setups in 5 that the 6552, but this doesn't have those setups so well. Okay, what's the point here? There's a same in 8 with 3664. There's a plus in 6 with 6552. There's a double capture in 4 with 3664. And 3664 gets 2. Okay, the point is 3664 got 2. Okay, this makes sense. This makes sense. I probably should have looked at something like this. I'm going to start inputting this game for my database. Animator Delial 456569 75251 37355. So this really opens up just a world of possibility. The reason I'm so tentative about moves in 5 in abstract positions like this one, and by abstract I mean kind of everything is on the diagonal, nothing is locked in, is it gives so much room to maneuver. And I tend to have the assumption that I am favorite in matchups, because either ego or skill, one of those, you can pick which one you think is the explanation there. And thus, I want to minimize variance, right? If a position could be messy and could go either way, it is a better practical decision for me to try to just take the game to a tie and play another game than to move into an area where it could swing either way. And so moves like this are not what I want to be doing. However, I also don't want to be facing moves like this, right? If I think I'm favorite, I tend to not want my opponents to do things that make the game fuzzy. Here, there is a question of how fuzzy does it make it. 3664 and 2 is really a nice card to land there. Delial does not have a happy way to meet that. 3664 and 4, not as solid, right? But 6552 can always land in 4 if needed. I'm kind of looking, from Delial's point of view, I'm kind of thinking, okay, which squares of 2, 4, 6, 8 does Reay have something? Does Reay not have good places to put cards? And like, that doesn't mean does he have like a same or something there. It means, can he put something there that has an out-facing number? If he has to go there, maybe 3, 6, 6, 4, and 8, it has a same, that seems great. But that 4 out-facing, maybe I can just take that and be safe. Now the answer is not quite, because of 5375. The other question is, because 5 is Reay's, and because those 7 and those 5s have a fair chance to overpower things near them, do I have combo potential? And the answer is not yet. Reay has done a nice job of only giving himself combo potential off this card. So actually, I'm coming around to quite like this move, and I'm not entirely sure what Delial should do. If you want to set up combo potential yourself, you have to go in 3 or 7, but there's not an obvious move in those squares. 5571 continues to just be an incredible card. You know, it can kind of land anywhere and be safe in itself. But if you look at something like 5571 and 4, keeping it 5-5, then say 3664 lands in 2, it's 6-4. That 5373 now dominates the up-down. Maybe you missed the 7525. Maybe you wish you used 5527. But then you wouldn't have the recapture in 2, so you can't have used that. Okay. Probably should have noticed that earlier. I'm always torn when commentating, and I clearly miss something, and it comes to mind, whether being like, yeah, I totally saw that, whether I did or not. Like, you know, sometimes I'll say I saw that and I did see it, but sometimes I will just say that because it seems silly that I wouldn't have seen it. And I would like to think in those instances that I would have seen it if I was playing rather than just kind of spouting ideas as they come to mind. But I don't know. You miss things. It's fine. It happens. I guess my point there was I don't think 5571 in 4 is very good after 3664 in 2. And maybe it's fine because you have the double capture with 4744 and 8. So maybe you can start with something like 5527 and 3. That makes it 55. That gets captured, let's say, by 5373. It's 6-4. And you play 4744 and 8. That flips 2 cards, making it 6-4. 6552 and 7 flips only 1 back. Tie. Yeah, maybe 5571 is just a tie. I think knowing that you have this double capture that's never comboed back in 8 is actually a really important thing to know from that line, because that actually means 4 is very appealing, right? Because if your best squares you're going to land in are 4 and 8, you often want to start in those squares. Because if you go in 4, it is incredibly unlikely your opponent will have a useful way to block 8. Their most likely good squares are 2 or 6, setting up a Q or a Z respectively, and 8 is just a very hard square for them to block. So if your good squares are 4 and 6, it is difficult to play in such a way that you'll get to play in both. But if your good squares are 2 and 4, you don't want to play in either of 2 and 4, right? Or if you play in either, again, you won't get the other because your opponent's likely to play a Q, right? If your pair of good squares are 2 and 4, it's difficult to get both. If your pair of good squares are 4 and 6, it's difficult to get both. But if your pair of good squares are 4 and 8, it is a lot easier to get both because, again, if you have these 2 squares that don't make up the Q or the Z or S, then your opponent is unlikely to block them. So I think at this point I probably would play 5571 and 4, and I would expect it to tie. That's my current evaluation, is I think 5571 and 4 ties. But I think this is a dangerous and messy position. I suspect the solver would give lots of ties, but I think it is a hard position to play. All right, Delial also uses the 5571. Notably, he uses it in 6. Okay. So the obvious question, I think, is, what happens if 8's blocked? Now, that's a very good card for Reay, right? 3664 has both 2 and 8. Actually, that leads to me thinking, what about 5373 and 4? Because that leaves having both 2 and 8. And it says if you ever go 4744 in 8 yourself, I have 3664 and 7 comboing back. I don't think it works, though. I think if you start with 5373 in 4, you have a problem with 5527 and 7. Yeah, that's too big a problem. Okay, so that's not the right idea. But what about 3664 and 8? That seems the kind of conventional thing to do, the thing we have to check. That makes it 5-5. It does give up our capture in 2 if we're Reay. That's a concession. But is it good? Delial has no combo potential on the card in 5. If Delial starts in 7, if he takes you with 6643, you combo back, and well, that still might be a tie, though. It's still probably just a tie, right? We don't want to stop just by saying you combo back. That line doesn't work. So 3664 and 8 makes it 5-5. 6643 and 7 makes it 6-4. 5373 in 4 flips 2 things. Flips 7 back, which combos 8 back, and it flips 1. So it goes up 7-3. There's no double capture in 2. I thought there was a double capture in 2. It would hold if there was a double capture in 2. Okay, so Delial can't play that way. So 3664 in 8. Because I was thinking 4744 could double capture in 2 and be safe to 3. 6552 at the end doesn't capture anything. But that was wrong. There's no double cap there. Okay, so 3664 and 8. 6643 and 7 loses. If something like 4744 and 7, then this time 6552 or 5527, but that gets comboed back, and that gets comboed back in a much worse way. So say 4744 in 7, 6552 in 4. That's going to make it 55. I guess that's just a tie. Okay, I think Deli holds there. 5527 and 7 doesn't tie, because 6552 combos enough to go up 7-3, and again, there's no double capture in 2. But I think 4744 and 7 ties there. Okay, what other options are there? Sometimes appealing is to go something like 5373 and 3, with the point that any move in 2 flips 5, and then your 3664 lands really well in 8, and your 6552, as we've seen in previous lines, is really good sweeper in that endgame. But here, fundamentally, the problem is Deli can play in 2 without flipping 5. And then I don't think we have anything. So again, we kind of came back to that initial thing of, can the 5571, whenever it will be used, it will be powerful. When's the right time to use it? And I like Reay's starter. I like Deli's response, but I think after Reay's third move, Reay had real winning chances. I think Deli has helped. Is there 6552 and 4? I don't think so. Five, 3, 7, 3, and 7 is the creative fun move, but I think 6552 is just too crummy a card. It just. I guess then it has 4, so then it might find a home. Yeah, I think Deli can just play a 5527 and 4 there. And isn't in any risk. Okay, so Reay does go for 8. I didn't find anything better. And now, I thought 4744 and 7 was a tie. I was going to say the tie, but I actually didn't check any other squares. I just thought 7 was critical. Let's try another square. Let's try 3. If a 5527 in 3, that seems like, why are we giving up 5373 in 2 for no reason? We'd be down 6-4, and we would lose. Yeah. So, okay, not 5527. If we stick one of the other cards there, that can be taken by 6552, and 5373 is a sufficient up-down sweeper, so 3 doesn't work. If you start in 2, you're really going to want to have combo potential. I mean, fundamentally, if you go 2, I go 3, and my remaining card's sweeping you. I go 3, 5373 and 3, I flip 6. Whether or not you flipped 5 doesn't really matter. I'm either up 6-4 or it's 5-5, but 6552 is going to flip back sufficient cards. Or is it? Alright, maybe not. 4744 and 2 makes it 6-4. I go 5373 and 3, that's 5-5. And you go 6643 and 7. And you take 8, you go up 6-4, and somehow 6552 only has 1 capture at the end to tie. So okay, that looks like another tie. Conceivable, I'm missing something, of course, but I don't think so there. So that's a second tie. All right. Any other ties in 2? Marlboro doesn't work. You really need to flip 5 for that to work. So 6643 and 2, does that work? He goes for the 4744 path in 2. Alright. That looks sufficient. Nicely held by Deli here. I think after Reay's move in 5, it took some care. And you were going to have to concede something that looked kind of scary. And in both the way Deli played it, where he played in 6 and then had this move in 2, or in the way I was thinking about, which we still don't know if worked, maybe my way didn't work at all, where we played in 4 with the idea that at some point 4-7, 4-4 could land in 8. Either of those kind of game plans here was reliant on 4-7, 4-4 being able to do things that no other card here could do. And those 4s ended up playing really nicely, able to take 3s, which just proved not trivial to take while doing other things. So yeah, I think a well-played game. This was game 4 of their match, is that right? That is right. And I think so far they've played really well. I think 3 of the 4 games, as best I can tell, I've only checked 2 with the solver. I haven't checked these last 2, but my best guess is 3 of the 4 games were played without any errors, and a 75% no error rate is really high, especially against good opposition. Very high. For instance, Turds, who was my 2022 Open Random Player of the Year, had a clearly lower rate than that for flawless clean games. So just to say, you know, you could say, oh, they made a mistake in one of them and no one won, but you can also say like 3 out of 4 at this level is really, really strong. Yeah, 6-5-5-2 was such a situational card in this game, where it ends up totally dead over on the right, as makes sense, but had some real potential in some lines on the left, but didn't really line up that well. Didn't really line up that well, because that 6 facing up on 6-6-4-3 just meant it's not going to sweep that well. And the 7 facing down on 5-5-7-1, it was never really going to live up to its full potential. It was always close. And some 5s facing to the left that it just couldn't quite deal with. Never lined up right. I should say, I liked Deli's random here. I did like Deli's random. Now, maybe that was wrong, because Reay clearly showed it had a down-facing problem and played against that well with his starter. But my inclination was that Deli had the better random here. So that Reay got some pressure here is really impressive from him. It also doesn't mean Deli did anything wrong. But yeah. So 5-5-2-7 landed in 7, and 5-3-7-3 in 4 with 6-6-4-3 remaining. Very good game, I think. Very good game. Yeah. I'm curious what would have happened if 5-5-7-1 had been played in 6 immediately. I wonder if that could have created problems. But it also leads to kind of a mess, because, you know, if something like Reay plays in 3, there's just suddenly a lot of cards that can be taken, and those positions are messy. And also, I think one of Delial's best traits, and one of the reasons I think of him as an aggressive player, is because he does not cash out his advantages immediately. If he has a card that he knows is going to be great, he will try to hold it until he thinks he has to use it. That he used it in 6 here said that that was a tricky position. You know, this was a position where he really needed to use the card that could do something useful immediately. But that he didn't use it on the first turn says he found something else he thought was useful to do. And I think this is a really nice and worth thinking about trait of Deli's, where he doesn't. It's not that he won't cash in on like a combo immediately, you know, but it's that he won't cash in on a valuable card immediately. That he'll see which cards are critical, and he will be really reluctant to let them go. I guess I'm gonna stop this recording here, and if they play again, that will be a new recording. This was a good game. Really enjoyed it.